Hey everyone, we are back. Luke Hobbs here at Gardiner Houlgate auction rooms, the auctioneer and head of department. Consignment video for the December 2023 auction, and this is a bit of a follow-on from the last auction because we had a look at this 61 Strat. So at the time I hadn't looked inside, so I couldn't comment on originality, but something a bit different for you today. We're taking a look underneath the hood of this thing. So guard off, neck off, have a look inside and see what is going on for the originality of this guitar. So let's take a look. So here we are, we're taking a look inside this 61 Strat. So I've already taken the neck off and the guard just for ease, because I'm sure you don't want to be bored watching me do that. Get straight to it. So as you can see, there's a 61 neck date stamp there, or not stamp, pencil mark should we say. That looks correct. One thing you will see that I've done is if you slacken the strings off and put a capo around to hold the strings in place, you take the neck off. I'm sure lots of you know or do that already, but there's just a little tip there. So something that you can do to quickly whip a neck off without having to completely unstring your guitar, so all the strings stay in place, and then just whip the capo over to hold them in place, and there you go. So yeah, 61 pencil date there. And you'll see in the neck pocket there's a couple of colours here. So we've got what looks like Olympic white here, and then we've got a red colour as well. So but if I remove the guard, you can see that this guitar has been all sorts of colours in the past. There we go, as you can see in the cavities there. Now a lot of you will say, how do you know this is a real body? Well, one thing is I've seen a lot of them, which helps. But the pickup cavities are the right shape for the year. What you'll also see is the old pinholes here underneath the guard. So there's another one just there as well. It's the old pinholes where they used to support the body on a, I guess it's a bit like a lazy Susan, to spin it round while they're finishing the guitar. One underneath the jack plate as well. It'll be concealed under there, so the 3 pins to hold it in place. So as you can see here, it's not all completely original. Some of you will obviously already know this, but some of you will be very new to all of this. So the bridge and the middle pickups appear to be original and okay. The copper wire inside all appears to be the right colour. Again, once you see enough of it, you kind of get the idea. It's got the correct type capacitor here. All these potentiometers appear to be correct, all dating to 1961. Got the digits on the side here, which you probably can't see perfectly of the camera, but they are there. You've got digits in place there. So you've got the free thirst digits, which indicate the pot manufacturer. So the pot manufacturer on this is 304, which indicates Stackpole. And then you'll have the 2 digits for the year, which is 61, and then the week, which is the 2 digits after that. So this all including the neck pencil and the serial number and the pots all check out to 1961. We've got the correct type 3-way switch there. You can see here there is some very bad resoldering work on the volume control pot there, but then that would have had to have been removed to get the body ready for stripping the finish back anyway. And then, as I said, you've got the bridge and middle pickups, which are okay, and then you'll see the slightly different wiring. There's plastic wiring here, so all this plastic wiring, including the wiring through here as well, this is all incorrect. That's not the right type. It should all be this cloth wiring. See that the neck pickup has at least been rewired. The base plate doesn't look quite right to me. I mean, it's pretty close, but I will have to take a closer look at that, basically get my magnifying glass on it just so I can really hone in on it. But you know, it looks pretty close, but it's at least been rewired. I mean, you can see it's been rewired straight onto the points here, rather than coming through where it should come from. So it's been at least rewired, and also you can tell because you can see by the actual coil wire there, it's not quite the right colour that it should be for vintage spec. But essentially there we have it. That is the inside of this Strat, following on from last week's video where we were questioning its originality. For those of you who haven't seen this kind of thing before, it gives you a good insight for what the inside of a Strat should look like and what to look for. So I think that covers that. We'll put it back together and we will move on. So there we go, that's a look inside this 61 Strat. One thing that I realised that I said when we were looking on the inside is the switch. I said it was the original 3-way switch, but it's not. It's a 5-way switch, so the switch isn't original. So yeah, don't take that inside knowledge when we're inside as inside knowledge, because it's not true. 5-way switch, that must have been replaced. It is an old switch though. Yeah, there we go. So not all original. I mean, obviously we've got the refinish anyway, or the stripped finish, but yeah, let's have a look at some other things. If you wait till the end, we will have a look inside something else, so please stick with us, and we are delving under the hood of something else, so stick to the end of the video and we'll have a look at that. But yeah, 61 Strat, you all know the score on this one now. So if you like looking underneath the hood of guitars, and you'd like to see more of these videos, please let us know in the comments, because we're always up for doing more, if you guys want it, of course. And just take this opportunity to remind you to subscribe to our channel, like the video, because it lets other people who like to see this kind of thing see the videos as well, and hit the bell icon so you can be notified with our future video uploads. So this week we have had lots of really nice things in, getting ready for our December sale, 5th to the 8th of December, and this is one that's come in. It's got a few modifications, but I love these Kalamazoo guitars. Picked up value quite extraordinarily over the years. I mean, I remember when I started, we were getting £300 or £400 for these. Now, look, you know, values over £1,000 certainly, £1,500 we've got for them hammer price. So, yeah, this is a cool thing. So this is a KG14 Kalamazoo made by Gibson in the 1930s. Got this sort of architectural head here, and yeah, this one's in reasonable condition. We've got a hairline crack to the side here, which is it's not massively structural, makes no effect to the sound. The biggest modification is we've got this big tailpiece put on, and it doesn't support the strings over the saddle that well. So in an ideal world, I think this is coming off and get some bridge pins back in. Unfortunately, we don't have the bridge pins either. But again, a phrase that I don't like to use too much, player's grade, but yeah, it's a good opportunity to buy one of these, because they do that that sweet blues thing. So, you know, Robert Johnson, that kind of finger picking blues style, they're fantastic for that, and they are very well made and comparable to the, you know, the L0s or the L00s, the 14 3/4 inch width body. And yeah, it's a cool thing, and I do like them a lot. Ooh. Now, as I've said many a time before, I am not the biggest fan of Les Pauls, but when the gentleman bought this in, I was telling him a similar thing, that I can't get on with Les Pauls. I don't know why. I think it's because I'm so used to playing SGs and flying Vs that I'm used to playing more further out, and these just sit too far in for me. And also the weight, I guess. But as I was saying it to him and playing it, I thought, this is something else. This is a great playing guitar. So this is a prehistoric, it's known as, which makes me feel old because this was made the year I was born. So there we go, I'm a dinosaur. Prehistoric.
If you heard it, it's official.
But no, this is a prehistoric, so the sort of custom historic guitar department that Gibson had. This predates that period, which is why it's known as prehistoric. So this is a 1986. So there you go. You can work out how old I am there. 1986 prehistoric. So it's a 59 replica or 59 Les Paul reissue, and it is a fantastic thing. So it's early 86. So it has, but it has late 85 features, which include the position of the eye on the logo is one thing, which we can get into there. But I mean, I love the colour on these. They've got the colour right, the sort of heritage cherry sunburst.
It's warm.
Yeah, it is. And we've got the darker back as well, rather than the lighter cherry that they later became. This one's got sort of some old nickel Grover tuners on there, not original. They're replacements. It's had a refret, and it is a very, very good job. It's one of the best refrets I've seen, actually. But the thing I love about this guitar is you've got all this aging here, but it's genuine wear. You know, this isn't Murphy aged. This hasn't been given to someone to age. This has been, I think, it's a sign of a good guitar almost. You know, look at all the wear on the neck. It's been played. It's got the Tim Shaw era patent stamp pickups. So yeah, it sounds great. It's a great player, and that's coming from someone who doesn't necessarily get on with Les Pauls, but I think this is a fantastic player. It's a birth year guitar, so maybe I'm trying to sell it to myself. No, I'm not. You know, I do love it, but it's not one for me. But
it's a great guitar.
It's a great guitar, and if you want the burst thing, yeah,
it's really nice.
Have a bid. So these, I think, as you'd expect, these do have more value than a lot of people would probably want to put into a Les Paul that they're, you know, throwing around and playing. But you know, they tend to, you know, around the 4K mark and maybe a little bit more for auction. So yeah, it's a good option. And if you consider most Gibson customs these days, R9s are, you know, I guess new, they're in excess of $6,000 now. So yeah, it's a really cool thing. The case isn't original. This is actually a Gibson historic case. So one of the later cases, it should have really have one of the generic brown cases, but it's yeah, a nice thing, prehistoric, just like me. So not a guitar, but guitar related, a guitar strap. And as you can see there, this was Paul Rodgers from Free, Bad Company, etc. This was his personal guitar strap, used obviously in later years. So this was made for him, tooled leather, and it's signed by the man himself. So this was won in a charity auction by the vendor, an auction that was organised by Paul Rodgers. So he put some of his own things in. So we got the provenance with it. and I think it's a cool thing. It's a really stylish strap. Like I said, the tooled leather with his name in, so if you're a fan of Paul Rodgers, what a great piece, and signed by the man himself. 70s P bass in black. I do like a black P bass. So this one dates to 1978. You can see from the serial number, the S and the 8, although word of warning, it doesn't always relate. So I've had plenty of these. I've had even S7 serial numbers, and you look underneath and they've got 1980 pots in. So always be careful when you're dating guitars, because that may not always be precise. Even on some of the modern Fenders, they're with like a Z4 that would technically be 2004, actually it can span 2 years, early into the other year. So always the best thing is just to check the pots, but this one has been checked and the serial number is 78, with the 78 pots. So yeah, black P bass, maple board, cool thing. And let's have another one. So we got another 70s black precision bass. This one is a 1977, but this one with a rosewood board. Again, we got the S7 there, and like I said previously, be careful because it might not always be, but it is. So this has got 77 pots in, all checked out, all looks okay underneath the guard. So yeah, factory black finish. It's been used and played. I believe this is single owner from new, so he's sort of gigged it around. But yeah, nice rosewood board. Got the sort of faux shell guard. There's a few screws have been changed. We're missing the covers, but otherwise it's a nice example of a 70s P bass. If you can hear a bit of a background noise going on, it's absolutely tipping down outside. So if you can hear that in the background, that's what it is. Monsoon season. Yeah, 77 Fender Precision bass in black. A lovely black guard. So this is a Broadcaster replica. Now, the one thing I will point out now is it's not a Fender. So we actually won't sell this with that logo on because it's not the right thing to do. So what my glamorous assistant doesn't realise is he is going to have to remove the logo. So we're going to take the Fender off before we sell it, with blessings from the owner, because he agrees. So can't keep the brand name on there because it's not a Fender, but it is an incredible replica. The body, we believe it's probably an all parts body and an all parts neck, but they've been aged really well. The body has been aged really well. I mean, I'd put that, I mean, one of the go-to guys in the country is Clive Brown. I mean, I would say if someone told me Clive Brown had did it, I would probably believe them. It's really well done, nicely aged. All the parts have been aged as well. The pickups are Fender pickups, Broadcaster spec pickups, but it's a really cool thing. And value-wise, I'd probably put this at somewhere between a good parts caster and something like a Nash. So yeah, I'd say mid to late hundreds in terms of value, 500 to 800. Essentially a breakdown of the parts. But I mean, when you consider, I mean, the what it would cost to get, I mean, you're talking £600 to £800 to get a good aged refinish these days. So just for the body and finish alone, it's you know, you can start easily seeing the value in it. It's a good player, and it does sound great. It's got that broadcaster
really
thing
does
going.
look the part, I would say, as well.
Yeah, it does. I mean, you know, from a distance,
Yeah.
you've got a blackguard. This is a first for me. Yeah, never had one. So this is a Taran guitar. So luthier Rory Dowling, Scottish luthier. This was made in 2007. It's actually guitar number 2. So it's a really, obviously very, very early guitar. You know, second one made. But it's, the sound is, yeah, I mean, massive sound for bigger than I'd expect, certainly. So yeah, Taran guitars made in Scotland. They are quite sought after now, valuable. But this has got a spruce top, the walnut back and sides, and then the blackwood, I believe it's blackwood fretboard, which would be some kind of ebony. But yeah, a good thing, an early thing by the maker, and it sounds great. But there we go.
Yeah, no, that sounds really great.
Do check them out. Black Beauty. 1979 Gibson Les Paul Custom, and that phrase, it is what it is. Although I don't think I've had this apart yet, have I? So
no, I don't think so.
yeah, so on the face of it, a 79 Gibson Les Paul Custom. It's got the protector case from the correct period with the red interior. So we will have the full details of this once we've had it apart on the website guitarauctions.com. Maybe in a future video we'll have a look inside this as well. Again, let us know in the comments if you like that kind of thing. But yeah, 1979 Gibson Les Paul Custom, coming up in December. I don't actually know what's in here. I've just pulled it off the shelf. Came in with a collection of about 10 guitars that we've had in recently. So I really cannot. I've probably done a valuation on it, but I can't remember what's in here. So let's have a look. We can be surprised together.
Find out together.
Yeah. There we go. Yes. So an Eric Clapton Artist Series Stratocaster. This is the one with the noiseless pickups rather than the lace sensors. And there we go. It's got the S prefix for artist, that all the artist ones had. And there we go. There's the man's signature on the top there. Obviously a facsimile, but Olympic white. It doesn't look like it's been used. Still got the
sticker over
got the trem sticker still on there. All the perspex film still over the guard. Cool. What have we got in the case? Anything? Any goodies? There must be. A few tags. So yeah, there we go. Yeah, Eric Clapton Stratocaster. Good stuff. Another lovely acoustic, which yeah,
stretch.
There we go.
Obviously the band is missing.
So this is a, from the top of my head, 1990 Martin D45. So it's got all the highest appointments with the abalone inlay, the fancy fret inlays, fretboard inlays, and obviously the head inlay there. Now I was having a look at this the other day, and unfortunately the action is quite high. There's not much belly lift. I mean, there's a little bit, but there's not enough to really concern me. But the action is high and the neck is straight, so I'd say that this guitar may need a neck reset. So I will leave the professionals to ascertain that. So the neck may need some work, but apart from that, it's in good condition. And yeah, these are quite valuable these days. I mean, you're looking at, I'd say even in that condition, we'll probably get £3,000 to £4,000 for it. Hammer price. And then obviously the take-home price will have the buyer's premium on top. We're not going to hide behind that, but yeah, that is a nice D45 with its original case from 1990. So it's now a 33-year-old guitar, which I still can't believe how, even at my age, yeah, even at my age, how old it makes me feel saying that. But yeah, there we go, 1990 Martin D45. So here we have a Gretsch G7594BK. Model numbers off the top of my head, obviously.
Yeah.
Although
Totally didn't read it off a sheet.
Didn't read it off a sheet. But AKA a Black Falcon. Yeah, from the 90s. A good example. There's a few marks on it, but we can forgive those. I really like the Black Falcons. I'm sure the majority will prefer the White Falcons.
It's almost an iconic thing, isn't it?
Yeah, the White Falcon, definitely. But I prefer the black ones. It really makes this orange banding pop. Let us know in the comments, what do you prefer? White Falcon or Black Falcon? Looks like the string's just popped over there on the roller bridge. But yeah, I really think that is a cool looking guitar. So a made in Japan, early 90s Gretsch Black Falcon. Interesting telly that came in. I mean, there's nothing, it's a decent Telecaster. There's nothing most people consider special about it. But what I think stands out on it is the hardware upgrades. So it's a 2002 made in Mexico Telecaster, but it's got these Nottingham City guitars, designed and made bridges that they work really well. So you can really compensate. They're really, really good quality. You can see the NCG logo on there. But they're really, really good design. Yeah, Andy at Nottingham City Guitars, who we do happen to know. And yeah, just thought it was interesting that it came in, and there's the neck plate as well, so good quality parts. And I have heard some people compare them quite closely to Mastery hardware, so yeah, worth checking out. If you want any hardware, then this isn't a bad option. But yeah, installed on this 2002 Mexican Fender Telecaster. Again, something that I don't know much about, but I've seen the label on the shelf and it's got the letters JV, so let's hope it's a JV Strat. Got the big Squier Strat logo headstock, so yes, yeah, JV2. So yeah, early 80s JV Strat, white on white with the Gardiner body and the maple board. That's a cool looking thing.
It's really cool. Yeah.
First time I've seen it, so just picked off the rack, and it's always fun. Never quite know what you're going to find. Things do turn up randomly, even when I'm not here. So I'm always quite pleasantly surprised. And I didn't even do a valuation on this one, so this has been dropped off in my absence, and there it is, an early 80s Squier JV Stratocaster.
Is there another JV here, or did I dream that?
There is another JV that we will feature in another video because it's part of an artist collection. Spoiler alert. So I do keep threatening to do this artist collection, but I'm still sorting through it, so that will come in a future video, maybe next week's actually, but we'll do a feature video on it. Just something to look forward to.
Watch this space.
Watch this space, as they say.
Be a good time to ring the bell so you get notified when that video goes up.
Good plug. Also do not know what's in this case, but let's assume it's a Fender.
No, it's definitely a Gibson.
You never know, it could be. Could be a Super Strat Gibson.
We seem weirder. In cases, I mean, you know.
Nice.
Definitely a Taylor.
So it is some form of 80s. It'll be American series rather than American standard there. The reason I said some kind of 80s, it says E9, but that doesn't always necessarily mean it's going to be 89. Yeah. So until I've actually had it apart, I'm not going to commit. Although it looks like we've got an original receipt here from 91. So there's a receipt from Carlsbro Music, 1991. So around that period anyway. So we'll have it apart and have a look. But yeah, a black Strat from the late 80s, early 90s. American series Strat in what looks like the original case. Cool. So this guitar here is not officially confirmed for sale yet. So this guitar came in very recently for appraisal. The gentleman unfortunately was sold this guitar as completely original, which I think if we take a look we can see that it's not when we get into it. So he thought he had a 63 Strat that he'd been sold as all original, but the first thing we will see is this very, very matte finish, which is definitely not original. It's this matte gold finish, and also the shell guard is also not original. So yeah, we're just having a look around the outside of this guitar. So like I said, it's come in for appraisal, and I think will be a decision as to whether they want to consign or not. But yeah, we've got a few condition issues or originality issues, putting it in that player's grade category. That again, the overused saying. So yeah, replacement guard, all the plastics are changed, so the knobs, they're replacements much later, as you can see, repros. The pickup covers are definitely replacements, but we'll have a look underneath and see what the pickups themselves are. We've got a 63 neck, we've got a Brazilian rosewood board there, as you can see, refret with really chunky frets, which isn't always the best thing, because it means the tangs go quite far down. And it does actually look like, if you look at
it's a really
dots,
thin fretboard.
It would have been a veneer anyway, but you can see that the fretboard has obviously been not necessarily re-radius, because I think it does show us the correct radius for this year, but it's been well, stoned right down.
I measured it earlier and it's 7¼ inches.
Which appears right, is in the right territory, but
there's just not a lot there, is there?
There's not a lot left, and it's probably because it's been played so much that there's a lot of wear, and they were just trying to take it down to get those grooves out. But yes, it's got quite a thin veneer on there. Veneer's correct for that. Yeah, you'll notice the logo is definitely a repro decal. If I flip it over, the tuners are correct for the year. They're the correct Clusons. However, it's had some other tuners on, and unfortunately, where the screws have been for the other tuners quite close to the edge, it has split. Caused some splits in the head. So structurally, it's not going to go anywhere, but it is just a bit of a shame. And then looking on the back, what can we see? I mean, that plate is definitely a repro. It's the correct serial range, but I am not buying that that's original. The font looks okay, maybe it's a little bit off, but just the feel of the material, the look of the general material, the sheen on it is just not right. This claw's not original, and the screws definitely aren't. They're definitely not right for the year. But the block looks okay. Whether the springs are or not, who knows. But the block looks okay. The bridge plate looks okay. The saddles look okay. Generally, the screws look okay in the guard as well. But yeah, well, like we did earlier, let's have a look underneath and see what we find. So like I said earlier, this guitar is not necessarily consigned for the auction yet. It is just in for review. So we are having a look at this to give the seller an idea of what he has and what it might be worth. So we've already covered the external aspects. So I've already taken it apart again because I'm not going to waste any of your time with me taking the guitar apart. Yeah, neck's off, and you can see with the serial plate, it's definitely a repro plate. I mean, it just looks wrong. So the plate is repro, but the neck is good. So we've got the 63 stamp there. It has actually been, it's probably been on another body actually at some point, because you can see it's been redoweled. It's had some work. So yeah, some work done there. But anyway, a 63 neck. We've already seen the outside of it, so I've shown you the other aspects of that externally. And then underneath the incorrect guard, just pull this out a bit just so we can be nearer to the light. And there we go. So like we saw on the 61 Strat, so this is a 63 Strat, like we saw on the 61 Stratocaster, there's things that are telltale signs that this is genuinely an old body, because it's not a very good finish. It's the wrong type of paint, as we've already mentioned. So you can see a few things. One is the screw hole here. So in this period, going into 63, the screw hole actually moves back. It's about 1/4 inch moves back towards the middle pickup. So this is a later guard, so it's the earlier style spacing. And you can see that there, it's full of paint where it was refinished, whereas the other one, the re-drilled one for this guard, slightly smaller hole as well, has been drilled and put in there. The cavities look correct. They're the correct shape. You've got the worm route there, which has lost its fibres, but it is correct. And then if you look here, it's quite interesting. So the control cavity is actually in the 50s style, where you've got the straight down wall here, and you'd normally expect this, I guess it's a kink.
It's like a leg.
Yeah, so yeah, it's like a dog leg or what have you. So so on this year that should be there, but interestingly, if you look, you can see, I think the camera can just pick it out there, you can see the original, where the original wood was. And what you tend to find on a lot of these older guitars is the wood is actually split here, because the screw sits in around here, and it's a bit too close to the edge where it holds the pick guard in place, and where the pick guard shrinks, it splits that bit off. That could be the reason why it's been taken off, because maybe it was damaged, and they thought, well, let's just get rid of it, and it allows the plate to go in and out easier. Maybe just the spacing on the pick guard, it needed it as well, but you can see the original router pilot marks, and then we do have, as with the other Strat, got the pinhole there, full of paint, but there is the original pinhole. Pins have been seen up to 64. I was speaking to someone the other week, a chap called Clive Brown, who knows his onions about guitars, and he said that he has actually seen these up until 65, which I didn't really realise, but there we go, you learn something new every day. So there you go. You've got the telltale signs that it is a 63 body. So been refinished, as you say. But then, nicely, considering, you know, the things that are going wrong outside, this, in comparison to the other Strat, is all correct. So we've got the correct three-way switch. We've got the correct potentiometers. These actually date to 62, so it's not uncommon to have parts spanning years, because essentially they were just grabbed out of parts bins. So it's very, very common to get different parts, slightly differing parts from slightly differing years. So yeah, 62 pots here. You can see it's been resoldered here, but again, this would have been something that would have been done to obviously remove, to refinish the body at some stage. But you can see all the wiring here, correct cloth wiring, all looks intact and okay. You've got the correct disc capacitor there, and all the electrics work. So, you know, that is nice, considering you know, it's quite, looking externally, it looked like it could be quite bad. You never know what you're going to find inside. That is a pleasant surprise that essentially the internal electronics are all there, and even the copper wiring looks the correct colour, which is nice. So yeah, that is a nice thing. So yeah, I've got to report back to the seller's a local gentleman, actually. Unfortunately, he was sold this guitar as all original about 30 years ago. It happens, and then, you know, 30 years later, he gets me telling him it's not original, to much disappointment. But he has a decision. He has a decision to make of whether to consign it. So it may well appear in the December. It may well appear in the December auction, and I think the probability is that it will, but I'm not going to hold any guarantees. So yeah, it should appear in the December auction. If not, it may be another auction next year. But another player's grade, we all use, I think people brandish that term around a bit too much these days, but a player's grade Strat, that's got some good electronics, it's got a few replaced parts, but a good base project for someone. And what do I think it will make? I mean, I'm going to say conservatively, hammer price 5,000 to 7,000. Obviously, the take-home price will be more with the buyer's premium on top, but you know, I'm talking hammer price. 5,000 to 7,000 is conservative. What do I think it will actually go out at? You know, hammer price wise, it will probably be 6 to 7. But the market is it's really difficult to value players grade instruments, because essentially you're taking a breakdown of parts. You know, you've got to look at a set of 63 pickups. You know, I guess if you try and source them from online sources, you know, some places it's $2,000 just for a set of pickups, so it quickly adds up. You know, pickups with pots, you've got a neck, albeit it's slightly damaged, you've got a body, you've got all the bridge block, and obviously the saddles and things like that, they're all okay. I mean, the jack, I have had that off the jack previously, and that does look okay. So yeah, it's an interesting thing. And we watch this space. Keep an eye on the website, on Instagram, guitarauctions.com, at Guitar Auctions on Instagram, and then to see whether it appears in the sale. But an interesting thing, and another potential cool entry. So that is it for this week, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us. Consignments that have come in for the 5th to 8th of December auction. The next big auction we're working towards. Consignment deadline's the 3rd of November, in case you have anything to consign with us for that sale. So we did something different this week. We had a look under the 2 pre-CBS Strats, just to give you an insight of what we look for. And like I said, if you do like that kind of video, please do let us know in the comments, because it would certainly encourage us to do more, and we may even do them as individual rundowns of specific guitars. So do let us know on that, and obviously like the video, because it does help push these videos to other people that might be interested. So yeah, obviously subscribe to our channel, like the video, hit the bell icon to be notified with future video uploads. They are weekly, or we certainly try to do them weekly running up to the sale. We do still have an artist collection to show you, so that is coming soon. Hit the bell icon if you want to make sure that you see that video. Subscribe to the mailing list on our website, because you will also be notified when these videos go out. And of course, follow us on socials. Social media is the first and quickest way to find out what we've coming in. We post daily, we highlight something daily, so you will always see what is coming up. And of course, we've got the preview website, which is guitarauctions.com. So thanks for joining us again. We will see you next week. We've got lots of really cool things coming in next week, and I threatened the collection of left-handed guitars, which I thought might be coming in this week, and I said we might do a video this week, but they're coming in next week. So watch this space, because next Friday might be lefty heaven. So for all you lefties out there, really good collection of guitars that are coming in. Perfectly timed for Christmas. Can't believe I've mentioned that word, and what are we? We're in September. I've said the banned word that early, but there we go. Christmas presents on the agenda maybe for some of you. So yeah, 5th to 8th of December. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.